Live. We are live, and hola, welcome to the Two Sides of Politics, a podcast. Today we got Jeremy joining us, along with me and John, as usual. Today we are talking healthcare, the long-awaited debate on healthcare.
Yeah.
So, how is everyone doing today?
Pretty good.
I didn't get up at 3 today.
That
So
is good. That is
good.
Progress.
Yeah.
The baby birds, the bird nest outside my window. I found out that the mother didn't abandon them because we moved the nest, so that's good.
I hate sleep. Sorry to cut you off. I hate sleeping because it's just like it's such a waste of time.
Yes, you're unproductive and you want to be productive, but you can't because sleep.
You have to regen. It sucks.
If I said that to my friend and he was like, "That's crazy," because I said, "Oh, I would love to be able to run 24 hours a day and not have to sleep."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Dude, when you go crazy?" I was like, "No, think of all the things." And
yeah,
I've done this. I've done this pseudo where I'll go there used to be a good during this quarantine I fucked up my schedule so hard, but it just naturally reset. But I would go I think there's 2 or 3 weeks where I was alternating days of sleep.
oh my god.
I was going through 24-hour cycles with no sleep. And then the next
My friend screwed up his cycle so bad that he's now back to a normal cycle.
Yeah, that's right.
I thought about doing that.
He's just looping around, right? He's just
permanently in sleep purgatory.
So
that's what I'm doing. That's
every
what
couple
out.
days, he's
It's literally
yeah, it's crazy. Quarantine for you, but healthcare, you know.
Anyway,
it seems perfect. It seems perfect, you know.
Yeah.
Healthcare is an issue we had before the pandemic. Healthcare is an issue we have during the pandemic, and healthcare is an issue we will have forevermore until I become president. No, I'm just kidding.
Or is he?
Or am I? No. So I'll let our guest, as usual, kick it off. What is your thoughts on our healthcare system, our healthcare policies, and what do you think we should do about it?
So, hot take.
Okay.
I think I think that healthcare should be a human right.
Human right.
All right. I respect the hot
what
take.
What happened to life, liberty, and
itself.
pursuit of happiness? No, I'm just kidding. It's
Think
funny you bring that up.
Think about it if you are unable to be in good health, how can you pursue your happiness?
He's got a point there. But
yes, but just declaring things are right doesn't make them better. I believe it's South Africa. They have housing as a right, healthcare as a right, and a couple other things. And the housing market is terrible. I don't think it's South Africa, but I'm thinking of a country. I can't name it. Their healthcare is terrible.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was
Their
South
healthcare
Africa.
is terrible. Their housing is terrible. Just declaring things are right doesn't make them good. Secondly, I think there's a fundamental difference, and I think this is something people blur the lines with. There's a difference between health care and health insurance. Okay?
Yeah.
Health insurance is a privilege. Health care is basically already guaranteed because anyone can walk down to a hospital and get anything done they needed to save their life. When it comes due to the bill, that's a different story. But if you are dying,
the government
you can
will save
go
you.
to the hospital and they are not going to turn you away. So in that regards, there's a difference between health care and health insurance. So are you saying health care, the ability to go to get care at any health well, not any health facility, but a health facility. I want to catch myself there. Or are you saying health insurance is a right, someone subsidizing your health care costs?
So, what I'm basically, because I was gonna say this earlier before you went off on that tangent.
Sorry.
That what I mean by healthcare being a right is like it's not gonna do much as a right, as you said, but like what I mean by that is like just make it free, or at least make it as reduced as possible for everybody.
But nothing in life is free.
Yeah, like the government
Like,
will have to take money from somewhere else in order to make up for that.
But
And the
is
only
that a negative thing?
Sorry.
Oh no, there's more. That opens the door. That opens the floodgates to what else should the government guarantee you for free, and it overall weakens the country considerably. Like,
Government grows, transparency
Yeah.
weakens.
in order to guarantee that everyone is able to have this, the government must have knowledge of everyone. They must keep tabs on everyone.
Right, and think about it
So-
this way. We're all different. Fundamentally, characteristically, I think that's a word. No, characteristically.
Yeah, no, it is, it
That's
is.
a word. So why should we all be treated the same on the same platform as healthcare? Look, we all have different needs. Some people are healthy, some people are not. Some people smoke, some people don't. Some people drink, some people don't. Some people have cancer, some people don't.
Yeah.
Some people are overweight, some people are not. Some people are fit, some people are not. The idea is that in my eyes, government should treat everyone exactly the same. But in the eyes of health and health care and health insurance, no one is the same. Everyone has different health needs, different health costs, different health risks. So to fundamentally treat us all equally is impossible. Because
What do you mean? Because we're not trying. By treating you equally. What I'm saying is, you just give us the care that we need.
right,
Because
what I'm
obviously
saying is
the
our
bills don't
needs
want-
are different. Our
So
needs are
So
different.
when government writes the bill, it will have to be so general that it encompasses everyone, leaving loopholes upon loopholes to take advantage of.
Correct.
But that-
or fall short in some areas.
Right.
That's happening. That can happen anyways. You're basically
No, but what I'm saying
that's
is-
the problem
Right.
now. It
So
would
if
be
you-
the problem if you just enhanced the current system.
So if you had individual healthcare plans that more fit you, you're more likely to save costs in other areas to support yourself. Does that make sense? So like if I have lung problems and I get a health insurance that, substitutes more towards lung problems, I'm not paying for unneeded brain whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm focusing on what I need versus everyone collective together where everyone has to hold up everything. I'm just focusing on my needs. You're focusing on your needs, and so that you're not paying for things you don't need. Like, if I have skin problems and you don't, you're not
You're
paying for skin problems.
Yeah.
I'm paying for skin problems. Your parent paying for your heart problem. You know what I'm saying? It allows for individualized healthcare plans in which you're paying for what you need, which is in turn lowering your cost because you're not paying for other things you don't need.
Okay. Can we at least establish this? That a person shouldn't have to worry about the bill if they're dying.
Well, if
That
someone's
depends.
dying, they
No, as in like
should be
they're,
worried
like-
about their life. Bill comes after.
yeah, but
Yeah.
The bill doesn't
If
come
you're-
unless
if-
they survive.
let's say for example, let's say I get a huge cut for whatever reason.
Like, are we talking like death?
Like
death,
as in,
deathly?
not a death cut, not deathly, just that
Just so
I need,
much that like you can't work and
You need
everything,
stitches?
know?
I need I need stitches. I need to get this treated by medical professionals because I can't do it at home
Right.
for whatever reason. Because I know some ratchet ass people out there fucking are sewing themselves up with no fucking morphine.
Okay, continue.
But and I'm pretty broke. I don't have health insurance because I can't afford it. What am I supposed to do?
You go to
Well,
the hospital.
I
Yeah.
go to the hospital and they stitch
Fix
me up
it.
and get the bill. What am I supposed to do about that bill?
Pay it back over time.
Pay back over time.
In the same way as student debt, or if your state is in the correct position to do so, they'll take care of it because you're in such a low wage bracket that you can go under their healthcare program. I was going to bring this up earlier.
And
By
that's what I was
having-
trying to lead to.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
by having an individualized healthcare program where people pay based on their wages, you now take strain off of government in order so that they can help the people that really need it. You can get healthcare from the government if you actually can't pay for privatized healthcare. And more likely than not, by having it like this, you're actually more likely to encompass everyone because everyone you're giving healthcare to is in the same situation, poverty. So in this case, in the ideal world, you would be taken care of by the state. By either they would fully pay off your bill or part of it. This is the only correct way
no,
to
they
do
would
healthcare.
cover it and you pay them back.
This is the
That's true. Like the way you could pull that equation
But
off, it depends on
Right,
like,
that's
how
what I'm saying.
you-
That's how health insurance should work. You
Right.
should go to any hospital, doctor, whatever. You get your cut, you have a cut, you go there, you get it stitched up, right? The
Yeah.
insurance company, government insurance company, whatever, what have you, pays the bill. You pay them back.
Yeah.
Over time,
right,
at
just
the
like
rate of
any
year.
other insurance company.
Right.
Car,
Right. That's what I'm saying.
anybody?
Right. So why does healthcare not work like that? If healthcare worked like that, the system would be truly capitalistic and would be able to decrease costs over time.
Right. Massachusetts is a shining example of how it's supposed to work.
I'm
I know
not
Mass Health is like almost there and not completely there because it's like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it covers children and adults, right? It does cover adults, right?
I am
Mhm.
not privy to mass health.
It can cover both children and adults depending.
Oh yeah, because you're an adult
Mm-hmm.
and you're under Mass Health.
Shit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Massachusetts is the best example. Mass Health covers people of
You know-
all ages
you know
who
what's
can't
hilarious?
pay it off themselves.
You know what it used to be called?
What?
Romney Care.
That is.
What the fuck?
I'm dead ass. And Obamacare
Wait.
Obamacare is based on Romney Care.
So what are you saying?
Why did we get rid of it then?
Why did we get rid of what? The name?
Obamacare. No,
Because
I know
Obamacare
why
didn't work on a national scale.
Oh, it was too socialistic.
Too expensive,
Why-
too corrupt. Like it's too
Okay.
big.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So then,
Yeah, okay, yeah. See, Jeremy, Obamacare is the example of like it left millions uninsured because of the exact reasons that we put down on the table. It
Look,
was too
look,
big.
just-
It missed out on people because they
Look.
didn't fall into the criteria.
Look at it this way. Medicare for All worked in Vermont. You know where it absolutely obliterated? California.
Too many people.
It's-
I am
right.
totally.
That's what I'm
like-
saying. Like, different things work in different areas. Medicare for All did. Medicare for All. I'm sorry. Healthcare. No, what was it called? Yeah, Healthcare for All in California blew up. In Vermont, it worked. It worked. That doesn't mean it's going to work on a national scale. Romney
This
Care
is this.
worked in Massachusetts. Obamacare based on Romneycare, did not work on a national scale. There's no point in propping it back up. It just didn't work on a national scale. And that's okay. That's okay. You don't need to have a national program for everything that's good.
Yeah.
Like,
Now,
that goes
you
back
might
to
be
the
thinking-
EPA. EPA was a good idea, a good thing. On a national scale, it just is too big, too powerful. Too many issues. So you need to let the states do what's best for them. God,
This
I'm
is
such
one of
a
the
states'
few
right advocate. Holy crap.
This is one of the few instances where I am pro micromanaging versus macromanaging. And it's for this exact reason. You can't macromanage something this intensely massive. And for viewers out there who might be saying, oh, but the European countries are doing it.
European
like
countries
Well,
are way
time.
smaller.
They're
Way
they are.
smaller.
Small European countries work in a socialistic environment because they have like one person per 300 United States citizens.
I believe it's if you add France, UK, Germany, Italy, Spain, and one more, and I think it about equals the United States population. So
Yeah.
look at it again.
I think that socialism, when it works, is fine. It's like part of the American mythos is socialism bad because Red Man's scary, but you know, like
because Lenin man's scary.
and a lot of people are very unforgiving of socialism because of that. And to be fair, it doesn't really work here. But in other countries where it's smaller and people can be more like it can be a lot more forgiving when you're like only managing so few people. You only have to worry about that many people. The government doesn't need to be like the size of the moon in order to compensate for every single detail that is in the plan. You know, like
Look, socialism works on a very small scale.
yeah.
A very small scale. And the smaller it gets, the more sustainable it is. That's why Medicare for All works in Vermont and not in California. Because
So then
Vermont is...
How about we try and I say, how do I describe this in a way that is easy? I guess scale it up and see where its limits are at. If that makes
Because
sense.
that costs a shit ton of money.
That's an experiment that's not really worth it because you're
no,
going to
right.
leave people out regardless.
This country has been a giant experiment. Let's be honest.
It's not an experiment anymore. It's literally
the
a real
country-
thing.
The country itself was founded on an experiment. So,
That experiment is still going on.
I
Because
disagree.
Prosperity of the nation is what we are trying to succeed, and what are our
Okay.
core values?
you know what was an experiment? The South
What?
leaving the North. Didn't work out.
Didn't work out because they weren't allowed to. They shouldn't have.
Well, okay, they
Look,
could
but
have.
my point
if they did it
is
right.
half the population wanted to, and the other half didn't. Half, I would say, Medicare for All is less than half the people, but there are people that
It's
want it.
pretty
There are
close,
people that
yeah.
aren't, that don't. I don't think all Democrats want it. I can tell. I think it's like 95% of Republicans, hell no. And I think Democrats is like what, 66, maybe like 2/3, maybe. I don't know.
I'm one of the Democrats that says like I don't. It's like just get to the result. Rather
Well, the
than like,
result
Yes,
is
but the result
shitty.
takes time.
it
you
takes
can't-
time.
Boom, snap your fingers, Thanos. Everyone's got healthcare, but things happen over time.
But
And-
and that's the issue because it's like
No,
okay,
that's
so
just
we
life.
plan-
I mean, this is
No,
like
because-
this is like what I explained to John in our talk about poverty was, Look, it takes time to get out of poverty. You have to climb the ladder. You can't
That
jump
takes
steps.
too long. That takes way too long.
Look, but that's what it is.
I
That's-
agree with Jeremy that it takes too long because I'm a big fan of the "your birth screws you over" idea.
Yes,
I will
but
live
what
for
are
the
you
rest
gonna?
of
How are
time.
you? You cannot speed it up. It is what it is.
You can with extreme government regulation and control, but not everyone's going to be about that, so I can't really
Not
do
only
it.
is not
I'm
everyone
saying.
going to be about that.
No, there's
it-
always going to be a group like this that is just like, no, we can't do it that way. That's not going to work because people are going to disagree to it and not going to want to do it. But
Well,
That's- that's
this
the
is
two-party
what it would
system.
take. Like, think about it like this: if I'm going to get people out of poverty permanently, I have to do it. Literally, me. I have to organize their finances, make sure they get off the cocaine, get their house and the assets into order, so that they don't fuck up again on their way out.
Right.
and that's
So
but, like,
you
that's
have to
gonna suit-
teach them. You have to, train them. You have to get them into a stable job. They have to move up the ladder at the job. That takes time. It's not going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, even with efficient control from the government, it takes
It's
time.
it's still going to take time.
Like, people that I know have done the dumbest stuff financially I could even possibly imagine. And they did it more than once. It's just because they suck at learning. People are stupid. They don't, like, this is a behind-the-scenes politician talk. Like, they don't, they have to macro manage so often because, like,
Because
people-
they think they can fix the stupidity. You can't.
yeah, you can't.
Look, I
My
always
father's been telling me for that for years, and I think I'm finally starting to understand.
you can't fix stupidity. You
You
cannot.
can only.
There's
hope
always
for the
gonna be-
best.
I was talking to before we did this video, I proposed to John that maybe in the future episode I invite one of my how do I put this lightly, very democratic history teacher, and
Yo.
I would agree with you that there are dumbasses in the world. I'll even read the text. There's always going to be a dumbass in the world ruining everything.
Yeah.
In my eyes, that's a liberal. In your eyes, that's a conservative.
That not even necessarily, because
Yo, he's
I'm not-
turning.
That
no, because
that was more a joke.
the
Yeah, I know.
the issue is like the fact that there's such a polarized divide. It kind of like destroy. I feel like it's just obnoxious.
Yeah, but you
it's
need
obnoxious
that. You
because
actually need it.
You need
And
it because we can't get anything done. But that's the thing, because when one party gets control, they start doing things, and then they just get reverted.
right. But one thing that does in a divided government, and this is what that Snowden video made me realize, when you have a divided, very polarized government that doesn't want to work with the other side of the aisle, that keeps the other party in check.
Yeah.
So, because if they're working together and they're like, okay, things are great, moving along, they can sweep things under the rug where the other party isn't going to call bullshit because they're going along with it. Does that, you know what I'm saying?
Can something happen then? That's all I'm asking.
Yes.
Well, okay,
watch
Jeremy,
the
I don't
Snowden
think you
video.
realize just how much
Government
actually happens.
is. Yes. Watch
Even-
the
yeah.
Snowden video. Trust me.
Even when... Yeah, go ahead, Jack, go ahead.
You don't understand how big government is until you look inside. Until you realize how many people work for it, how much power they have, how much corruption they have, how much they corrupt, infringe on rights.
But why is that's such a? I feel so ridiculous that the
Right,
that-
I understand
It's a
completely
bad
how
thing.
you
Look,
feel.
There's a lot of bad in government, and people don't want to admit it. People don't want to recognize it because
Hey,
it doesn't get
he's-
shown.
He's not really, like, not understanding that there's bad. He's more saying, why bother?
Because
had this-
corruption. One thing
Yeah.
Mr. Ireland says, it's always true. Will always be true. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And any desire at more power will corrupt any human, no matter what. You can go in there, guns a-blazing. I'm not going to be corrupt. You damn well know they're going to come out corrupt. It's just the nature of people's mind. When they have control, they want to get more and they want to hold it. And anyone that threatens their power, and I think this is why the Democrats are mad at Trump, because Trump is an outsider. Trump is an outsider. Everyone normally is an insider. And when you have to let an outsider into the inside, you risk losing power, losing control, and losing insider knowledge. When you keep the circle tight, nothing gets out. If you have to let someone in the circle, it oftentimes lets things out. And that's what they don't want. Why? I can't explain it to you. It's just simply the nature of the beast. It's the power hunger struggle for power. It's money, it's power, it's control, it's everything. And that goes for people who believe in big government and small government. Anyone with their hands on anything will want to keep it there.
It's like you have to have a... Okay, go ahead.
I was only going to say, like, am I the only person that doesn't really give a shit about power?
You will.
You're not in the position. It's hard to say. Because
Let me give you a good example of how this works. Who knows? Do either of you know who Stanislav Petrov is?
Rings a bell, but no, keep going.
Stanislav Petrov is, or was rather, because he's dead now, was a Russian. He was a Soviet soldier in the middle of the Cold War, stationed, I believe, at some nuclear base outside Moscow. One day, he had an alert go off for incoming nuclear missiles.
Oh,
no, you probably know where this is going now. Petrov had to make a choice. A few missiles is what the thing detected, like 10 maybe. He had to go. It went like this. He had all of the power and none of the agents. He had to make one of two choices: either follow his training or go against it because his heart was telling him something else. He thought that if the United States was going to fire missiles at the Soviet Union, they would send hundreds, not just a few. It didn't make any sense to him why they would send so few. So he had to, but the only way he could verify that was to just sit and wait. On the flip side, somebody with all the agency and all the power has no restrictions to their choices. They don't
to keep them in check.
Yeah, there's no consequences to screwing. A good example of this is
who holds you accountable?
Yeah, nobody, because you're on top.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of a good example of this.
This is why checks and balances are so important. Hitler.
Right. Hitler was literally just some guy who had a horrible, horrible agenda. And he had, once he consolidated power, dictators. Dictators are people with all of the power and all of the agency. Kim Jong-un, Hitler, Stalin, any of the dictators throughout history. These are the end result of, like, a continued access to power and agency at the same time. It messes you up because you just become selfish and greedy.
And
There's
Jeremy,
no way out of it.
And Jeremy, so you mentioned, like, am I just not the only person that cares about power? It's not as easy as that, because I can probably assure you right now, I don't think me and John care much about how much power we have in the world right now. It comes down to the way humans are basically wired. What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Basically, your selfishness tied to your personal aspirations, along with some desire for wealth, along with the natural instincts to want to be in control. Not everybody is as bad as other people. Some people are followers. Some people are leaders. Yes,
right.
But leaders are elected. followers are not elected. So it comes down to the nature of the politician. Someone that gets elected or wants to get elected or runs for office is a leader. You're not going to have a follower run for office. It's just not how not how it works. It's
I
not.
want to do.
Huh? I'm sorry.
I just want to do my own thing and tell everybody to fuck off. What does that make me?
A follower.
You're a follower.
I don't really, but like,
You're a follower.
I guess.
You
don't
get
like
behind
authority.
something. Well, it's not even that. It's you get behind something. You get behind an idea, and you just follow that idea.
If you were somebody who came up with ideas and drove themselves to fulfill them, you would be a leader.
Or
But that's
someone
not
that
what you're
goes
saying.
out and actively campaigns for your personal aspirations.
Yeah.
I
But what this
just
has to do with healthcare, by the way,
I just
is
wanna
that
go-
when the
Sorry, say again. I didn't catch
you
that.
and your space.
if we can't do anything if an asteroid hits us, we're
That-
just fucked.
Oh God.
Listen.
That's an
Well, I
entire.
actually do want to after what I'm going to say. I do actually want to segue into emergency government control because that does make it like that's what's happening right now. But anyway, so this is what this has to do with healthcare is when the government has this much power, they can like choose at the most corrupt level. I don't think it's this bad right now because Trump is there, just causing all sorts of discourse. Even though he himself is definitely corrupt.
Well, he's a businessman, salesman.
Yeah.
That sums it up. I mean, he's a salesman. He's gonna talk products up more than they actually are, and
Yeah.
he's going to sell a pitch. That's what he is. He's a salesman.
Get him out of office. He can't sell us the government.
Well,
Why is he-
I
Why
don't
is he
think
selling
old
our
Joe
co-
Biden's gonna win the nomination. I don't think old Joe Biden is gonna win the election even closely. So
he's actually
I know-
leading the polls right now.
yeah, but so is
Because
Hillary
Trump
Clinton.
Dude, Trump is leading. He's leading the polls right now because Trump is being a dumb fuck. Once this entire thing blows over, I think
Well,
it's,
right, but it's so close to November that he might not have a chance.
maybe.
That's
We'll
what
see.
I'm seeing right now.
But
Like, it's
and
so
what
close
Trump's
to the
already
election.
doing is he's got clips of Cuomo, Newsom, frick, who's Jersey? Phil, frick, what's his name? I don't know. Whatever, who cares? He's from New Jersey. He's got all those clips of them saying, "Oh, the federal government's doing a great job. The president is very easy to talk to. He takes my phone calls, blah 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 blah." And he has all those clips compiled, and you know damn well those are the commercials he's going to be running. Not
Yeah.
They're
to
already
mention,
running.
huh? Sorry.
There's already an ad that ran.
No, I know. Yeah, he's going to be running those
And it was-
constantly.
Yeah, but that ad in particular had so many messages that it just kind of canceled out.
Well, for you, who's not,
Yeah, you're already biased
you're
against
not.
them.
You're not in the
I'm not-
middle. You're not in the
I'm-
middle.
Okay, I like the reason I don't like Trump is just because of the way he like
He's an
carries
asshole.
Presents
Yes,
it, yeah.
he's an asshole.
He's an ass.
Yes.
Why are you running for?
That's
why are you
just
like this?
who he is.
Yeah.
And
Like-
that's why I don't. Just in general, his person, like, regardless of,
You know who
the
else
way
is an
that-
asshole? Hillary
Who?
Clinton.
I didn't like her either.
Right. That's what
I
I'm
didn't like
saying.
nobody.
That's
I
yeah.
didn't like
You,
either of those two.
Right.
we're not saying that you have to like a certain person or a certain way. It's just this is what happens. Like a politician, no matter what, will at least leak some of their personality through.
Right. Like, I mean,
Half the
We all-
battle
we
is
all
just
look
making friends.
we all look at Kennedy as this, guy,
When my
perfect
when my
family
president-
wave, right? Reagan was the jokester,
Yeah.
But it's just personality. I mean, Hillary
my
Clinton's an
president is-
asshole snob, and Trump is an asshole egotistical. So the election was pick your poison, yes. which comes down to policy and looking past the person. I mean,
Yes.
if you knew what Nancy Pelosi had done in her life and how corrupt she is outside of politics, you would never be able to look at Nancy Pelosi the same way. Like,
So, what has she done?
huh?
What has
Because I'm recording, and she's whining.
Nancy Pelosi was part of the government cover-up of what Snowden exposed that I saw in the video last night. Other than that, they're all corrupt in some way, shape, or form.
Was she part of the designing of the Patriot Act?
Patriot Act, the wiretapping, the warrantless wiretapping, that is, and the what passed under that right in at the end of 2004, not the Espionage Act. Shit, what the hell was it? Oh, Protect America Act.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's what it was.
That's what it was. Yeah, a lot of top Democrats, and now Dick Cheney. So both sides of the aisle.
No.
So it has nothing to do with politics. Corruption doesn't stop at political lines. Policy does sometimes, unless it's corrupt, in which it just keeps going. What I'm saying is that like this isn't a political game. Corruption is not a political game. Corruption is a government versus the people. It's not Democrat versus Republican. It's the government versus the people. That's corruption.
How has this complicated game of rock, paper, scissors devolved into this?
Well, because it's not.
Because people don't fundamentally understand what Congress is supposed to do, or what the Constitution actually means.
There's a reason that they didn't let people vote alone. You know, it's because they knew that the stupid people out there would ruin it for everyone else.
Right. I watched a documentary about like how far Congress has gotten away from what their actual duty is. And that goes back to the Constitution and the preservation of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And I know I sound like a broken record at this point, but you can basically, the entire function of government is the United States government under the United States Constitution is that government regulates itself to preserve the rights of the people. But when you have presidents that come out and this fundamentally changed under FDR, and why I would argue FDR was the worst president ever, but that's irrelevant. FDR came in here and said, nope, we're doing this. Because we have people to save, we have things to fix, and we need to fix it now. Now, at the time, you could make the argument for that. But
yeah, it made sense back then.
But you have to recognize these programs cannot be long-term. The government has to shrink itself. So things that were relevant then are no longer relevant today. And that's why, and when I say we have laws on the book that make no sense, like, was it you, John, that said it's illegal to have an ice cream cone in your back pocket in Georgia on a Sunday? That's 100% factual.
What?
They're called blue laws.
Yeah, so there are laws still on the books that need to be gotten rid of, but they don't do it. They just leave them there. And the problem with that is that decreases transparency, A. B, that also accounts for government control. Now, you might think this is absolutely crazy, but at the slight chance the state of Georgia needs money, and they see people walking down the road with ice cream cones in their back pocket on a Sunday, if the state of Georgia needs money, they're going after those people. So
like these obscure laws that get exploited.
Yes, and that's the problem with government. This is going to get really bad moving forward, because you got a country that's in debt and is squeezing for money. You got states that are doing the same way. You're going to see a high pullover rate, a high arrest rate. You're going to see states crack down on laws to make money. It's a sick thing, but it's what they do.
It's making sense yet.
Look, I get it. We don't want to speed. Yes. We don't want to... no, that was going to be a bad example. We don't want to... We don't want to speed. We don't want to run stop signs. We don't want to run red lights. Yes. But, if you slightly pull over the line just a little bit, no big deal. No harm, no foul.
Yeah.
Right? You go through the intersection at 2 o'clock in the morning, no one there. You're looking at a world of hurt if you see people like that start to get cracked down on. That's government overreach. That's when the government infringes on your rights. Now, I get it. It's law. Yes, but law has to comply with the Constitution. And increased law over time will degrade your rights. And that's why we need a small government.
I think a small government would be able to do healthcare better anyway, because there's less
individual government
BS to go through. There's less hoops to go
I
over.
would argue that no government needs to, support healthcare unless you were to do it my way.
With the states.
With the state, on a state level, in which it was simply a safety net.
Yes.
And that you still had to go get healthcare. So, a public option that worked on a state level, okay. But a federal level, and I mean federal programs just suck, okay? They just suck. They waste shit tons of money. They're just terrible. States can just do it better. And it's so stupid, but it's true. The federal government just sucks. Okay?
How do you guarantee there won't be corruption at the state level?
You can't.
You can't. It's just not the federal level.
Yeah, but because it's a smaller organization.
Scale, right. Then you're not fucking over the other 49 states. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So if Massachusetts becomes corrupt, right, in their healthcare system, the other 49 states are laughing at them, right?
Yeah. And then everyone who has the money to leaves
the federal government then steps in to stop the corruption. If the federal government becomes corrupt, you're fucked. There's no one above them.
Yeah.
There is, but how do you... So, you're saying, the federal government will step in to stop the corruption.
On the state level.
How do you... On the state level. How are you going to guarantee me that the federal government doesn't fucking get corrupt? Because,
again...
You're pointing fingers at corruption everywhere.
Because government is corrupt. That's why we need less of it.
Fucking anarchist.
Basically, Jack wants... In a perfect world, anarchy would be awesome, but no one's actually going to make that.
No, because everybody wants to exert their own will.
Right. But,
Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Why the Constitution was the greatest... Constitution and Bill of Rights were the greatest piece of papers ever designed. Because they sustained life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness with the role of government, and that's what the government should be. Look, if you were to totally deregulate healthcare, implement the system that I wanted, and deregulate all forms of regulation on ambulance, healthcare, tools, products, medicine, yada, 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 and you were to put the consumer in charge, I guarantee you, healthcare costs will go down.
And if it falls apart?
If it falls apart,
we try something else.
That's supply and demand. That's at the fall of supply and demand.
No, what I'm referring to is what you were trying to implement. If it falls apart, what are you?
I wouldn't be implementing anything. That's a free market system. There's no system.
Yeah.
It's not a
the
government
system
program.
Is the market.
It's
There's no regulation.
It's a regulation of health insurance deregulation of health care and putting the consumer back in charge of their own health insurance.
And you're letting the free market do this, but
Yes.
you do realize
It's
The-
why
the
it's
free-
why our grocery stores get restocked every day. It's why our stores get restocked every day. Gas.
I'm aware. Don't need
I can go
patronage.
down the list.
I don't need to
But
be
what,
paid.
what were you saying, Jeremy? What were you saying?
What I was going to say is that, but you do realize that that same free market doesn't have the people's interest in mind. It has money in mind.
Well, in order to make money, you need the people's interests.
I actually, okay, I have a super argument for this, but after what you say, what are you going to say?
No, I was gonna say is like that is ideal, except when you're the only when you're like the only couple of fucking options that you have.
Well,
Are
the
you talking about
government is only
healthcare
one
agency
option.
options?
If you're talking about needing options, having a government plan is not having multiple options. A government plan is one option. You don't get any
Yeah.
choices. That's the you're actually
not-
proving my argument.
No, what I'm saying is the federal government as a competitor in the free market, in a sense.
You can do
Would
that just
destroy
on
the-
a state
yeah.
level.
So then,
Wait, you got to stay
I don't
what? You
think-
can stay what?
On a state level.
Oh, yeah.
So then,
Because some states are going to be
able.
able to support a bigger, help net. Maybe they allow you to pay back in a longer time. Maybe a poorer state can't do that. But the federal government doing it doesn't allow for sinking ships. If the federal government sinks, if a state healthcare system sinks in which the government is supporting it, there's 49 other states that are good. If the federal government program sinks, everyone's fucked. It's basically
You're acting.
it's basically why McDonald's runs as individual branches. Because if one goes bankrupt, the rest are good.
Yeah.
If every McDonald's had to adhere to the same rules and the same company went bankrupt, every McDonald's would be fucked. That's just business.
What were you gonna say, John?
As far as the market ensuring the people's interests, this is take competitive sports. In order to have a successful competitive sport economy, you have to oblige by the audience's interests. They must be entertained. They want to be entertained. You cannot have the most boring, non-intuitive storylines constantly. You can see when like Dale Earnhardt in NASCAR was on a landslide of victories. People were tuning into NASCAR like never before.
And then came
People
Jeff
are-
Gordon.
After Earnhardt died, views went super far down. The stadiums are empty at NASCAR, but in excuse me,
NASCAR popularity has been dying.
yeah, in the 90s,
Since-
they looked like football stadiums.
NASCAR was the shit.
Yeah. So the same can apply to any kind of market. Health. People need to be taken care of for you to have a successful market. The
Right, and
winner
just like
of
you-
the market is the one with the best price
And just like you,
and the best options.
those people
But
that provide
if-
the care need a paycheck. What's wrong with them getting paid to help you?
Well,
You get paid
for-
to do whatever you do. What's wrong with them getting paid to help you?
Well, let's look at College Board and specifically the SAT and the ACT.
College Board is a monopoly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why it doesn't work.
Correct.
It controls the coasts, while ACT controls the middle. They don't go into each other's territories, and taking the ACT is not too much different from taking the SAT. What I'm
Yeah,
saying,
but
well,
colleges
yeah,
are
what's your point?
realizing the SAT and the College Board is actually shit, and they're moving away from SAT scores necessary to apply to their college.
but the thing is, they're providing useful information, actual useful information, because local schools inflate their grades, regardless
Okay.
of what. They will always be some sort of inflation of grades because each school is run differently.
What's your point?
Yeah.
What a standardized score across the board is so helpful to colleges that almost all colleges ask for it, or it's an option to give it.
But in regards to healthcare, no one is the same.
In healthcare, you can regard it as there's different results of like schools.
No, but it's different tests. It's different. It would
Each
be like
person has
different.
their own
It would be
test.
like a math section versus an English section. It's not the variant of scores. If the variant of the score
What-
would be
my-
like the age you die at in life.
We are that's
Right?
made no, but
The
my point with what I was saying was that you have monopolies, but you notice that they are not invading each other's territories. Or
That's called a coalition.
How are you going to guarantee me that it's not going to happen?
Those laws already exist. When a government is correctly functioning, they will bust the trusts
So then, how come it hasn't happened?
because the government's not functioning correctly. Teddy Roosevelt and
wait,
Taft
are you talking
both
about
went
the
out of their way
ACT
to
versus the?
obliterate
Are you talking
trusts.
about the ACT versus the SAT,
Yes.
or are you talking about College Board?
What he's saying is that
Because the
two
SAT is just a
monopolies-
test. It's not a company. It's a test.
No. It is a test that it makes money. And
It's administered
The
by
College Board makes money. The SAT doesn't make money.
He's saying it as a product.
There's a couple of other companies. I forget that. I'll link a video, but there's so many other companies.
He's saying
They
that the
have
SAT
different-
is a product.
They're selling their product. SAT
Yes, but that has
are two
healthcare is
separate
not a
companies owned by
product.
two separate companies.
Healthcare
SAT
isn't a product. It's a company.
It is because you've got a price tag attached to it.
No, because you can get your arm done, you can get your leg done. You could have a cough, you could have a fever. That's different. That's different products.
You can have a shitty doctor because you paid for a shitty doctor, and you could have a great doctor because you paid for a good doctor.
Right, different products.
They're selling their services.
Okay, but
Right,
what's your
different
point?
products.
This is you're just explaining American economics.
Well, what I'm saying is that how are you going to guarantee that there isn't going to be a coalition, like you said, John?
This is because when the
Don't
government
let them
is not
unionize?
corrupt, when the government sees an obvious coalition or monopoly, they will go out of their way to destroy it. They did the same thing with the telemarketer companies in the 80s, and they did the same thing with Microsoft.
Well, actually, they fucked over Microsoft for a different reason, but you'll find out why in the Snowden video.
Okay, but regardless, it was similar, wasn't it?
Well, it's because they didn't do what they wanted, but yeah, kind of.
Okay, well, at least the telemarketer companies one is correct. They broke that up because there was no competition, and they were they actually they went from a coalition into one company. When the government is not a fucking rigor mortis sack of nothingness, it will do its job. When it's being efficient, as in it doesn't have enough loopholes to take advantage of to stall it, it'll do its job.
People are constantly trying to gain power.
Of course, which is why.
Right, that's what
you
I
have
said earlier.
Because of how you said, because they want corruption.
Yeah.
Or they create corruption from doing so.
Okay. That's
So-
government no matter what.
No matter what. So,
So why would you
If-
put?
If
They-
government isn't functioning,
Wait, hold on. Let him talk. Let him talk.
if government isn't functioning, coalitions are most likely going to form because government can't get anything done.
It's not that they can't get anything done. It's just that they don't like it's not the government's job to do what you want them to do. It's the market's job to do that.
And if the market's fucking me over and not doing what I want them to
The
do,
government will come in an ideal universe and destroy
Well, no.
the market.
The
And
only way you'd be totally getting fucked over is if every hospital in America and medical clinic in America was bought by the same company and prices jacked up.
Yeah.
If it's just in your area and it costs that much, go somewhere else.
You're okay. I think this is the second or third time you brought that up. You can't making people move.
If it's the difference between paying 25 grand to fix your back or 10 grand, people will move.
People can't uproot their lives.
They're not. It's a surgery. What is it? A month?
Dude.
Well, hold on.
Uproot their lives.
Whoa.
You don't have to buy a new
Whoa.
house near the new hospital. You're going to have a surgery.
I think what
It's
Jack means
healthcare,
to
not
say,
a
like,
job. I know
like-
what you're referencing. You're referencing the part when I said there are jobs with good wages everywhere. You just have to go find them. You might have to move. Yes. We're talking about healthcare. Healthcare.
people do move for
People
like,
move for healthcare. People go to Boston all the time to get cancer treatment. The
Well,
yeah,
girl in our
that's
town
what-
that's legs are paralyzed goes all the way to Connecticut, somewhere down in New Haven.
Sometimes they do that because it's the only place that will do it. You
Well,
realize that,
yeah.
right?
Right.
Yeah, that's the service.
So if
You
it's
find it.
cheaper, they'll do the same thing.
That doesn't.
Look. Hospitals don't make money off, the quick cuts, stuff like that. They make money off the elective surgeries, the ones that aren't life or death. We're talking the knee replacements, the hip replacements. You know what I'm saying? That's where they make their money. Those are not life-threatening things. So if you need your knee replaced, you're either going to determine whether you're going to pay a shit ton of money to have it done now, or you save money and go get it done later. You have to determine whether it's right for you to go far away and get it cheap, or here
pay for
Pay
it
it
close. And also, Jeremy, there are way more hospitals than I think you realize. Like, hospitals
That's-
are everywhere,
that's true.
and they need to be there.
Did
Like,
you know there's one in Westfield?
I didn't even know that.
No, I found it out the other day. I was like,
There's
I always
yeah.
ever thought there was, two around here. And then someone was like, oh, no, there's one in Westfield. And I was like, what? And they were like,
Yeah.
there's a hospital in Westfield. And I was like, what? Like, it just...
And
I live near two major hospitals.
right, they're everywhere. They're literally everywhere.
And
you might,
and you
and
add
if
up
you
the
have-
urgent cares, the regular doctors. Oh, there's the medical clinics line this place.
Who the fuck invented insurance and who decided to make it so complicated?
Because
It's not complicated.
the problem is it's the insurance company that has put themselves in the driver's seat. That is not free market. That's why it's bad. If you put the consumer, if you put the consumer back in the driver's seat, that's when capitalism will show. That's when costs will be lowered, and that's how you will fix healthcare.
To put into perspective just what exactly is happening right now, Jeremy, it's the same thing as a controlled economy on a much smaller scale. They are regulating themselves in the same way that the government, which would regulate the economy the way they want it to go. it just doesn't work good because you can't control it because you're competing with the people who want something completely different. So you're always at a tug of war with like who's gonna get the shittier end of the stick. I understand the. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it never had to be this complicated.
It's not complicated. You just don't understand the full scope of it because you don't do your own health insurance anything.
Well, I think why health insurance was created is as a service, as a good product.
Yeah.
People couldn't afford health care. So people came up with an idea to help afford health care. And
Yeah.
when the government stepped in and took it over, that's when it got bad.
All health insurance is, let me explain to you on a fundamental level what health insurance is. All it is, any insurance company is just moving money around to different people who need it within a massive sum of money that everyone pays into. You might be thinking, oh, the people in charge are getting rich off other people's unhappiness, but they're also doing them a humongous service by stopping them from actually going bankrupt at the slightest injury. These companies. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
The hard part for people is that they don't get that these people aren't out to get you. They're only doing what they were designed to do, except for healthcare, who is doing their own thing because
of government intervention.
Yes.
Okay, just to give you some numbers, I've counted letters V, W, and on, and I'm already at 30 hospitals. That's not including any other letters. There are hundreds of hospitals just in our state. Just to give you an idea.
Are they all at the same scale, though?
Most hospitals are pretty big.
Well, but some hospitals specialize. Like, you wouldn't go to St. Jude if you had a cut. You would go to St. Jude if you had cancer. So there are some hospitals that provide better services for certain things to better them. St. Jude, cancer. Bay State is an all-around hospital. Mercy is an all-around hospital. Mass General. A lot of the ones out towards Boston, there's different specialties. Dana-Farber is a cancer, I believe. God, I'm blanking on some.
Shriners.
Shriners.
Yeah,
yep,
Shriners.
Yep. Shriners. What else is there? Tufts Medical, Boston Medical Center. That's Mass General. Floating Hospital for children. There's some hospitals that are just for children. Some for adults.
Yeah.
Some for cancer. Some for heart disease. Some for actually most of the specialties are. If you're looking at a map of Boston's University of Nutrition or nutrition, diagnosis, women's hospital, children's, and that's a VA.
What's your point, though?
What I'm saying is there's plenty of option. And there are a lot of hospitals and choices. So the likelihood that one guy is going to be able to sweep them all up is very unlikely. Maybe in a certain area, but that's where you just go somewhere else.
Yeah, and he means certain area as in, a neighborhood
Western
or
Mass,
city.
right.
Yeah.
That would be if Bay State bought out Mercy, and you know what I mean? Mercy competes with Bay State, so that's competition. If Bay State were to buy Mercy, then you might have a problem, but then you still have Wing, in Palmer, or Wing, Palmer. So you know what I'm trying to say here?
Mm-hmm.
So there will, and then if Wing gets bought out, there's hospitals in Connecticut, like there's hospitals in New York, there's hospitals in New Hampshire, Vermont, like you can even go Boston. There are options for you that it's so broad now and so developed that monopolization is almost impossible. Like take Standard Oil. Standard Oil bought up all the oil companies because there weren't a lot. So when they in the beginning to start, they already owned so much of the share. They owned so much of the pie that they just devoured the other part. There's no one other than the government, really, that right now owns a huge chunk. Because Bay State, for example, Bay State is a Massachusetts company. Like, don't quote me on this. I will check it out. But I'm pretty sure Bay State only runs hospitals in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
So, being that the states are separated, now this would not be able to happen on a national scale, it further brews solid confirmed competition. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So
I
you will
understand
always have
that, like,
options. Yeah,
I know that you want everything to just be like people to just be nice to each other. But believe it or not, making them compete actually makes everything better overall. Because you have to force people to be nice. People will compete automatically given the circumstances. But
everybody wants to win.
Yeah, it requires control to literally make sure that everyone stays in their place of being nice.
Doesn't cheat.
Yeah. There are cheaters. I cheated. Like, unless there's proper enforcement, people will break away.
It's why a teacher doesn't let you take a test while they're not in the room.
Right.
Well, some teachers.
College board, AP.
Yeah. That's a whole nother episode we should do, honestly.
The college board. Wait, we need to invite Tim back for that because he was always championing college board monopoly. So, Jeremy, if you'd like to join us for the college board monopoly,
I will. No, as an AP student, I'm inviting myself.
All right.
I've got a couple of fucking.
All right.
Okay. Do we want to schedule this for next week?
What's today?
Today's Tuesday.
Today's Tuesday the 19th.
We gotta get Tim on board too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tim, if you're watching this, text one of us. Thank you.
Yes, please. But anyway, like, the ideal world of the liberal is for everyone to be happy. But again, it just
right. And I mean, I want
somebody's gonna mess it up.
Just
so.
Okay, I just want to maximize that.
That's why you use competition. It's much more efficient.
Right.
You maximize it by offering the ultimate reward of profit.
Correct.
It's a snowball effect.
Okay.
The people who have the best ideas get rewarded through money and compensation through the audience and market. Then they use it.
That's why people that work for the state and the federal government, when they need to help you, are miserable. Because there's no profit incentive, right? That's genius. Teachers are designed to a union. No matter how good their students do or how bad they do, they still get the paycheck, right? If they had real competition and didn't have a guarantee at a paycheck, you better damn well believe students would be doing better.
No, well, I mean, you do realize that a teacher can get fired for not teaching properly, right?
Yeah, but who's going to check that?
But that's harder with a union. That's harder with a union.
I don't know if you guys experience this, but I know at my school, which is a public school, Springfield, teachers would regularly get checked by essentially other teachers, the heads of department. So if you were an English teacher, you would get checked by the head of the department, which was usually like a teacher that the principal trusted and knew was getting the job done.
Yeah, but what if it's that teacher? Whatever. I'm not getting into that. Whatever. Okay, sorry. Continue.
Yeah.
Well, we
like-
did have an example of this. John, actually, I don't even know if you found out. Do you know the teacher I'm talking about? The French teacher?
Hold on, sorry. I received a sudden call. I was gone for a couple seconds there.
Well, basically what happened was we were just like, we what did we agree on?
Well, we didn't say much. John,
Yeah.
you know the teacher that I'm talking about? The French teacher?
Is she the one with the OnlyFans? Or the like?
Teacher
No,
was
the
only
g-
50.
No, the guy. The guy
The guy
French
with-
teacher.
Oh yeah,
You know who I'm
him,
talking about?
Him. Yeah, the guy Ryan had a picture of in the bathroom.
Yes, sadly.
What the fuck?
Yes. He got fired. But you know how long that took?
How long?
3 years.
Really?
Because of the union, they needed...
He was protected.
He was protected, and he needs so many violations and blank XYZ to finally be fired. Then, with the union and unemployment and all that bullshit, this town was still liable for him as far as healthcare, all that bullshit, layoff, unemployment check until he got another job. But that's a whole other ballgame. But what I'm saying is because of the union, and now we're getting into unions, but that's another part of healthcare that's an issue.
Yeah.
The union protected him, in which he was able to just float his way. Now, there are other teachers that I can think of, and I'm thinking of a math teacher, if you know who I'm talking about, John, that I've heard numerous students say terrible things.
Yeah. Yeah.
She
I know.
was
who you're talking
awful.
about.
She still works there.
I think I had her actually.
Maybe. Hold on. Let me.
We can't say names.
I'm looking.
Because. But
fuck?
like,
Her?
oh, let me see.
We've gone off rails in terms of topic.
No, well, okay,
No, this
yeah,
is relevant.
but
Unions are relevant.
okay, yeah,
It is her?
yeah. I didn't have her, but I've heard things about her.
Okay. Then I wonder who you're talking about. Whatever. Yes. Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
That?
Wait, let me check. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But anyway.
Actually, she's retiring.
Oh, really?
This year
okay.
or next year? I'm not sure. Whatever. Irrelevant.
Bless.
Moving on. Yes. So. Yeah, and that becomes anti-competition. So.
Yeah. So the reason that unions are relevant to healthcare is because unions don't just exist
Most
in education.
most healthcare workers are unionized too. Anyway.
Yeah.
I think
They
the
work
majority are.
together. They work together to like reduce the power of the company and the market altogether. They're doing the exact same thing that the healthcare companies are trying to do when they get picked up by a corporation. And control like the rates because Jack can explain this better than I can, but they control the rates through like the general pricing rather than individuals. And
Right.
like it's hard, yeah.
So no. When they set the price and they argue, that's why different insurance companies get different rates for different things because they lock the price in, and no matter what, that's what it costs. That's
Yeah.
not good. That's not supply and demand. So
Unions do the exact same thing in
with
reverse.
salaries, yes.
Yeah.
So insurance companies, when it comes to healthcare, lock in the price of products. Unions lock in the price of salaries.
The reason this is important is it's like, okay, people who understand the basic purpose of unions will say we need them because we don't want government and corporations to stomp all over them, so that we go back
We don't
to
want,
16-hour
and then
work
we
days.
want people to. This is the other argument I've heard. To get people out of the middle class, get people out of the lower class into the middle class, sustainable jobs, security, retirement, benefits, compensation, leverage, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
The days of worrying about 16-hour workdays are over. They're not coming back, because who in their right mind would work for a company that drives you like mandatorily towards 16 hours?
Right.
If you want overtime, that's a different story.
Just
but a company that requires you to work that long, no one would ever work for them.
Just like the New Deal served its time and purpose, unions at one point did serve their time and purpose, but they are no longer real.
Yes. Now,
and not to mention,
as far as
go ahead. We're going down the rabbit hole of union, but not to mention that the union has the interests of the individual. The problem isn't only not government is this a problem, because government just taxes the people. The workers should have the interest of the company, because if the worker does not have the interest of the company could go down. And if the company goes down, you're out of a job. Now, again, only in government does it ever not go down. So when you have unions that are sucking these lifeblood out of these companies, it's like the parasite devouring the host, in the sense that once it's gone, you've actually fucked yourself over.
But how are you're saying that?
I don't. But here's the other problem with unions.
No, wait, hold on. Let him talk.
Okay.
No,
because I have a feeling where you're going though.
Well, go ahead.
No, go.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I want to hear.
And I don't know if this is exactly where you were going, but I feel you're going to get at this. They did a study. The Walmart CEO makes like $27 million, right? And for one person, that's crazy, right? To think about $27 million a year. And they're like, that's ridiculous. He has $27 million a year, right? But if you actually break it down and like divide that up to every employee gets like $2. Or something stupid like that. Like $5, I think it was. Or something. I don't remember exactly. But it was like a couple dollars.
So that is not going to one singular person.
It's not a couple dollars an hour. No, it was a couple dollars for the year. So when we say, they're corporates making shit ton of money, like I don't think you realize this, but even the biggest corporations make it by the skin on their teeth. So like,
right.
I mean that goes for restaurants too. That's why you see so many small businesses dying during this pandemic, because a lot of these places make it by the skin on their teeth every month, or they rely on slow seasons versus productive
I work
seasons.
at a restaurant, and the winter is the big fuel. Like 9 out of the 10 big days that happen during the year for money are in the winter. Valentine's Day,
and vice versa
Christmas.
at the Cape. Like at the Cape, it's obviously the summer months that they have to hammer home.
Everybody has their slow months. That's understandable. I get that. It's why does everything have to be so?
Because there's a lot of people here.
Yes.
Try working on something at the small, something that is very helpful is abstraction. What abstraction does is that it allows you to simplify something into boiling. Like you boil something down on the surface level, and then if you need to look at its own specific complexity, you look into it. what does that mean? It's like, so for example, for healthcare, you're saying, oh, let states handle their own thing. I'm not opposed to that idea. I
Well-
even agree to you, but the thing is also like, within itself, how are you going to let that be? Like, how are you going to organize that?
Well, I'll answer that question. That's up to the states. The federal level has no need to regulate that. Now,
Yeah.
I'm saying state as a compromise. If it was fully my way, this would come perfectly to your analogy you just made. I would have no government program, zero. So, in that
Which is where
terms,
me and him disagree.
right. So my compromise would be state level. So
But having
when you
program in, I guess, the free market, it forces other companies to compete at a reasonable price.
Well, that's why you do it for the poor and not everyone.
Well, yeah.
right,
So then why get rid of it?
because it doesn't
Why
work.
not?
It's not affordable. All right, wait. Get rid of what? Sorry, I might have jumped to conclusion there.
The federal program.
Because it doesn't work.
Because
It's not
it doesn't
affordable.
work. Yeah.
Okay, so my answer
It's not
was right.
affordable for the people it's supposed to work for, and it's not affordable for the government using it.
Because of the regulation in it. But there's other flaws with Obamacare, and one of the things that the Republicans did was, they say, oh, they kicked out the leg that held it up. Well, that leg, I don't know if you realize, was not a good practice. Basically, it was, if you didn't pay for it, you had to pay for it anyway. So you might as well fucking pay for it. So basically, it was forcing people to take healthcare, which is bad in itself.
If you remember, I don't know if you heard about this, but during the time of Obama, I agree with most of his policies except for this one. You were forced to have healthcare. There was no choice. You had
Believe
to
it or
have
not, Jeremy, there are people that don't want to pay for healthcare.
Why?
And I don't know.
Why?
And look,
Because they just don't want it.
and I'm glad John is defending me in this, because we had an argument about this last episode in which I tried to explain to him why we need less government, because everyone has different interests. It's the same reason. Because you might think that everyone says we shouldn't kill people, but damn well there are people out there that think we should kill people. It's just fact. It's just fact. And whether you think it's 100% true or not, right? I think 99% of people on planet Earth would agree, or in the United States, I don't want to say planet Earth, would agree killing someone is bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that
There's always gonna
1%,
be- that's obvious. But get to your point.
there's that 1% that believes we should be able to kill people. What I'm saying is,
There's always going to be a group that's going to be opposed.
right.
Yeah.
And the idea of the
And there could be
Republic,
several
the
at
idea of the
once.
Republic was the right of the minority. It's that the 51% didn't boss around the 90 or 49%.
The 49%.
Now we've come to consensus on killing someone, but that's a different topic. If it was, take white supremacists, perfect example. I would say that none of us think white people are superior. I would hope not. That
No.
But the fact is they have an opinion, and we cannot tell them what their opinion is, even if their opinion is wrong.
Yeah.
We can't infringe on their rights.
If that infringes on the rights of others, then that's where.
Well, if they go and shoot someone, yeah, but
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
But if you,
that's different.
If a white supremacist walked up to a black guy and said, "I think white people are superior," then you can't do anything. You can't do anything.
You can't touch him.
If he walked up and shot him and said, "I think white people are superior," yeah, fuck yeah, he's going to jail. But
it's the problem of he's protected under his own rights versus it's that belief that he has that's causing it's causing him to do this.
Right, but okay, but think about this.
But if he follows the law, the law and doesn't infringe on anyone else's rights, he has a right.
I'm going to put it to you this way, Jeremy, because I think this will get the point across. It's going to sound grim, but if you let the stupid people and the people that are like backwards in society do the wrong things, well, they'll eventually solve themselves.
Right.
At the cost of potentially somebody's life, yes.
It takes time.
That's not something that should.
But now
but
the
you
other
can't
option
do anything
is
about
authoritarian government. No one in Kim Jong-un's government kills anyone because he's the one killing people.
Even if you don't agree with it, you have to go to your grave defending their rights as long as they didn't infringe on someone else's rights.
Yeah.
So
the same thing for healthcare.
So
it's
take like this, and this is how I explain it as far as life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
Then hold on. So then that becomes a societal problem, not a government.
Right, which
is what healthcare is, or health insurance. It's a societal problem because people think they deserve it when they don't,
and the government tries to step in, which makes it worse.
It's like
there is no law in this universe that gives you health insurance in the United States as a right.
That's why I was going earlier to the thing that I had said before. Does the inability to fix your body essentially not let you pursue happiness? So therefore, under that logic, shouldn't it at least be considered?
This is why I go as far as states' health insurance.
Well,
and I will not.
And this is where I would argue. You have to take someone's money to pay for someone who can't health care. You're infringing on their liberty for someone else's happiness. Liberty comes before happiness.
Jack is a strict construction.
I am strict right there on the paper. If it don't say it, it ain't law.
You're strict anti-tax.
I believe taxation is theft. Yes.
How do you?
I'm a loose constructionist or constitutionalist, or rather, it's been a while since I heard the actual term, because when Jefferson bought the Louisiana Purchase, he was a strict constructionist, but he said, "Okay, this deal is insane. How can I avoid this? But it's not in the Constitution, so how can I do it?
Capitalism.
I'm just going to ignore the Constitution, stretch the rules a little bit to make up for a moral, gray area, and then win." This is where, the fine details start to come in, and where compromise should really fix the problem, i.e. the state thing. That, I believe, is the best we can do.
Where people are better represented by their opinions.
Yes.
Look, that's why, Florida, you have the Florida people and everyone jokes about, Florida people, or, how Texans... Sorry, it's only Humberto that makes that joke.
Florida.
It's honestly, it really only is Humberto that makes that joke. But, or more obvious, Texans, and they're like, "Yeah, you down there with your cowboy boots on," and all of us Yankees up here make fun of them. It's but that's what they do. So, we shouldn't have a federal policy that says, "Oh, you can't wear cowboy boots," because no, let Massachusetts determine that, people can't wear cowboy boots. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, that's a far-fetched, idea, but the idea of a republic in this country is the 49% isn't bossed around by the 51%. And the idea of the states having more rights further amplifies the abilities of minorities to have rights. And this is why I'm not a liberal, based on identity politics either. And I'm going to go down a rabbit hole. I know we're so far from healthcare, but it's relevant.
Somehow.
It's relevant because it's been blown up to be this complicated.
Right.
It was never this complicated
Right.
before.
But what I'm saying is the idea of minorities not having rights in the United States, the idea of the United States is the right of the minority. How would, putting a direct democracy in help minorities? That actually hinders them. You know what I'm saying? Basically, what I'm saying is the system we have, in the intended system we had in the Constitution, other than the 3/5 compromise, but that's a whole other ball game. Was designed to promote the minority, help the minority, not infringe on the right of the minority. So when you have people going out there and saying we need to abolish the Electoral College, it's just because the minority is winning and they're not in the minority. Does that make sense?
The last part didn't really make sense.
Well,
but-
that's because minorities vote for Democrats because they think they're going to get more rights, but it's really not true.
Not necessarily.
I just want to point out that, I know that not all Democrats are evil. Moderate Democrats are okay sometimes, but radical Democrats are literally the people that put slavery on the map.
Yeah, listen,
They are total liars.
We can all agree that the extremes at both ends
Oh yeah, they're trash.
they're all trash.
Yeah,
They
well,
And if anything, when we look at each other, that's what we're looking at. And
Us? I don't know.
What do you mean?
Maybe.
No.
I don't think so.
I'm extreme, but I'm not that extreme.
I'm in my own little universe.
You have
That's
your
for
own
sure.
thing going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm honestly kind of new.
I would consider myself an extreme rightist, but compared to a normal human. But as far as the party goes, I'm not as far right as AOC is left.
Yeah.
I'm not Hitler. Well, actually, Hitler in the American system is actually very centrist, believe it or not. That's just how European politics work. But I'm not so far right that I'm actually not a fascist. So, but fascist isn't right anyways. That's up. But
Yeah.
so define radical, because I'm very far right economically, but I'm as much as I'm a libertarian.
I think
I'm
he
not.
means the
I believe in
people that are,
seatbelts. I believe in
He means the
driver's
people that are
license.
denying climate change and the actual
Well,
racists.
that's an extremist on a level. You can't broadly paint someone as an extremist.
That's true.
If you're at an extreme,
I think gay marriage is okay. To an extremist Republican, that's
wouldn't
a
be
liberal
okay,
idea.
yeah.
So you can't paint someone as an extremist entirely. You can say they're an extremist.
Why did we? Okay, I know this is very off topic from healthcare, but why did anybody make a big deal out of gay marriage?
Well, because religion.
Because religion, yeah.
That's it. Just because.
Well,
But the problem,
religion is one of the founding pieces of the American. We both, in our early days, we both honored and despised it. We despised authoritarian popes, and we liked the idea of an afterlife. That's literally how it went. That's why we separated church and state.
That was a good statement. I guess the thing is the problem is if it was total separation of state in church, gay marriage would be easily legal. And in my eyes, I don't see why it is now, but why it wouldn't be. other than socially it was unaccepted. So basically,
Right.
that's where individual agendas and ideas influence. So basically, what I'm saying is, if you had gone back to the Constitution and looked at it that way without personal bias, gay marriage would have been legalized.
Oh yeah.
So again, it's referring to a societal problem versus the legal papers saying that you can't.
Right.
Government
Government
is too
can't
big.
fix societal problems.
People are trying to force this tool
yes.
that should be used for different things to do something it's not possible or
Oh my
possibly
God.
able to do.
John.
I have become one.
Oh
with
my
you.
God,
I
John!
understand now.
Oh my
I
God.
understand.
If you go back and watch the VODs, how many episodes ago was it?
On
You
our
were
first episode.
you were advocating for government used as a tool. Now you've grown up, you realize it's not a tool.
I'm slowly like this has been a journey of me slowly realizing how like liberals are extra wrong instead of just normal wrong, and like conservatives are actually on the right, like they have the right idea, like they're onto something.
You realize people don't ever awaken and move to the left?
Yeah. I just realized that now. Nobody
Unless your
actually
name is
moves
Mike Bloomberg, but I mean he's
He's weird.
yeah, for political purposes.
Yeah. I actually just realized that nobody.
Reagan.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
Reagan's the best
he's the
example.
perfect example.
He's the best example.
He was poor, became a middle class citizen, became on the right, and then stayed on it.
Studied economics, researched, read books, studied, and he got his shit together, and he became governor, and he became president.
The only thing
you know who took the red pill recently?
who took the red pill?
Elon Musk.
He
Did you see that? Did you see that tweet?
Yeah.
Who else was he? There was someone else in that tweet referring to. Oh, Joe Rogan. That's who it was.
I didn't see. What are we talking about?
I'll find it for you, Jeremy. Hold on. Let me catch this fish.
You're playing Animal Crossing, aren't you?
Yeah. I caught a boot.
Am I? Would I be wrong to say I was playing too?
Oh my God! You want me to?
Listen,
You want me to start up Sea of Thieves? We'll just have a gaming.
Oh my God.
That's a little more high impact.
Yeah, that
Yeah, no.
requires brain power.
I know. If I could go fishing in Minecraft. No, the problem is if I'm like trying to record the episode and like looking shit up, running Discord, like my computer just. And then I
It'll
try to
destroy
run
itself.
Sea of Thieves. Like Sea of Thieves, I know we're not even talking about healthcare anymore. Sea of Thieves runs my CPU at like 97%.
Oof. Ouch.
Yeah, so
Oh.
I can just about get Discord in before it, like, if I have to do something and I'm running Sea of Thieves, if Fortnite used to be the same way, if I, like, need to look something up, I'm fucked. Like I better just go on my phone, because if I try to pull up a Google tab, it's like, yeah, no, we're good here. So, yeah, my computer's old. Yes. Back to healthcare.
Okay. But first, Elon Musk. There's a couple tweets that he did. He shat on Marxists, and he also just said, "Take the red pill." One of them. And then here's an example of him now. Like, so he used a meme. Aristotle says time is real. I forget who this guy is, but then he says time is an illusion of the mind. Time was invented, and then Marx goes, time was invented by clock companies to sell more clocks. In his 18th
That's like
Brumaire,
Hallmark cards invented That's like the theory that like Hallmark invented birthdays to sell more cards. Or
Yeah, in his
I don't think
18th
birthdays, but all like the other holidays, like Mother's Day,
In his-
Father's
yeah.
Day, the Valentine's Day, Sorry, continue.
in his 18th Brumaire essay, in which he does make some good points, Marx famously said history repeats itself, first as tragedy, then as farce. This is now ironically happening with Marxism. That is a quintessential conservative thing to say.
You know who else said they're going to leave California? Joe Rogan. He
Did
said,
he do it?
yeah, well, he was talking about it on a recent podcast where he was like, look, there's no reason for me to stay in California. Is California get taxed to shit? It's overreaching of government. Like, he's like, it makes sense to move to Texas. And that goes, and I've made this joke a couple times and it kind of flew over your head, but I think, I forget who else was there. The thing is you know who said this was Ted Cruz. He said, you know, U-Haul will charge you $1,000 to bring a U-Haul truck from California to Texas, but if you bring it back to California, it's only $100. So, does that make sense now?
Yeah.
So, like, people are leaving California. People are realizing the overreach of government. Massachusetts isn't as bad yet. California is the worst. Vermonters are just insane, so they're going to stay there. New York is moving down that path. Actually, you know who...
Well, now you're kind of like going back on what you said because it works for them. People
no, but I was talking about they're all, you know, pothead smoking, you know, hippies up in Vermont, so
they're the people that
I'm talking about
on.
the people up there.
Like,
I'm talking about liberal policy in general. I'm not talking about healthcare.
I know, but nonetheless, it worked for them.
Yeah, but, you know, it worked for them. They're good. They're happy. States' rights.
Right,
baby.
but people from Vermont want the whole country
right,
to be like
right.
that.
Everyone, yeah.
Which is
people
not
in
okay.
Vermont. There is not a lot of diversity in Vermont. Let me tell you that.
I've been up there. I just where are the black people?
I joke about that every time I'm up there.
I went. Listen. So you know that I was in Agawam, right?
Yes.
It was a startling amount of white people. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. What's the number? We're if you directly white, we're 86. If you add all the 86%, if you add like all the like declassifications, we're somewhere up near 95. So, yeah. Continue.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah. Look, that's just you know. Sorry, continue.
What were you saying though?
No, I was just gonna say that's just what it is. You know, you look at Long Meadow, it's almost the same thing. Actually, Long Meadow's probably better.
Yeah, it's a little better. Yeah, I see minorities around here.
Southwick.
And actually,
Southwick
is a perfect example of where no race exists other than the white. I've been there. I dated a girl from there. There were no black people.
There were no black people.
You know where else there's not black people? New Hampshire. New Hampshire and Vermont are like the two New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine are like the two least diverse states in the country. And then they think they're champions of like equality.
Everything.
Like how can Bernie Sanders stand up there with a straight face and say he's a champion of equality, but come from a state where there is one black person for every 5 million white people?
I mean, no. If you actually go and look at the stuff he has done as an actor,
to be fair, he's a great civil rights.
No, I know, and I mean,
but his point is economically, Bernie doesn't know what he's talking about.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't say I come from experience. Dude, you live in Vermont. Like,
what was that voice? That wasn't Bernie.
I know, I just did whatever accent popped into my head. But, yeah.
Okay. But for our final point,
biased.
Yes, confirmation bias. For our final thing, I do want to bring up the fact that I am totally okay with government taking a stranglehold on, like, the healthcare system when there's an emergency nationwide.
Right,
as in the virus.
And I mean, you can make the argument, like, if we go to war. Like, you know,
like it's always been.
Right, so, like...
I hate that about our nation.
Well, I'm not a war hawk either, so... But
our nation thrives off of war.
Every nation does.
No, only America. Only America.
Really?
Only America. Every other country gets obliterated.
Well, okay, it's because we're not getting shot at.
And even look at the only other superpower ever, Russia, or the Soviet Union. Sorry, the USSR.
Yeah.
They mowed down men and went to economic spiral after it, in which ultimately led to their collapse. Only America, and this is part of the culture of America, to win, does America succeed in war. Did you see the movie Ford vs. Ferrari? Probably, maybe.
No.
Okay, so there's a clip in there where the CEO of Ford, he's Henry Ford the second or something. He's like the son or whatever, grandson, whatever. He says he's looking at Shelby, and he says they're in his office looking at the factories, and he says, "You see those factories? We won a war through those factories. We can do anything," and that's what set up, them going to the Le Mans, which is the 24-hour race, and Ford beating Ferrari and the whole storyline. But basically, what he said there was almost the most American thing you could have said, other than something's broke, so I bought a new one. But the idea of doing everything to win. Anything and everything to win. And that's the American culture. That's just the American culture. It's the American idea. It's why capitalism in our country is so popular. It's why,
whether or not it is morally good or wrong,
right,
we want to win.
We want to win at any cost. I mean, you can even point to the Democrats. They want to win. They want to win the presidency, but there's a desire to win. And that's what breeds that control, that power, that you know what I'm saying here, what I'm trying to get at? That desire to win, to wake up every day and to put yourself in a better position than you were yesterday. It's the strategy, it's the game of life. Everyone wants to win. And some people have it easier, some people find better routes, but the American culture and why America has been so successful in life is there's that ever desire to win, and when there is failure, there is success. Where there is failure, there's a determination to get back up and try again. You see that in no other country in the world. Businessmen in Europe in the 16, 17, 1800s, they were frowned upon. Businessmen's what the frick's the word? Marketers? No, that's not the right word.
Door-to-door salesmen.
Merchants.
There we go.
Were frowned upon and put at the bottom of the social rank. They promoted science and blah, 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 and this and that, and, arts and clergy and stuff like that. But what America did differently is they put the businessman first, and that's what created the wealthiest country in the world. And okay, side note, different thing. When AOC gets up there and says, why does every other country, let me rephrase that. We are the richest country in the world. Why does every other country provide health care to their citizens, and yet we're the richest country in the world and we don't do that? Maybe because that's why we're the richest country in the world. But that, I'm just saying.
The ear rape.
Yeah, sorry, I had to get really close to my mic. Nothing infuriates me more when people make the argument for government spending based on the wealthiest country in the world. Don't you think it's
Yeah, Jeremy, have you ever heard of a welfare state?
What?
Okay, so pretty much every European country, besides maybe Germany, because their economy is fucking insane.
Germany is like their whole other ball game. Especially when it comes to healthcare too. Western
Europe is a welfare state central.
Scandinavian
they plug,
too, especially.
They plug all of their money into welfare and healthcare and such, and they don't have any more money. They don't have any.
Their tax rates are extremely high, but the one thing that they do have is they do have free market-based economy, freer than the United States, less regulated than the United States, and they can pay for a welfare state that way. That's how they pay for the welfare state.
Right.
Is the free market economy. Yes,
So
They-
just imagine what would happen if the United States did that.
and that's the liberal argument. But the problem is what the fundamental United States was founded upon was the right of the minority. And I go back to this again. In turn, being that if people don't want it, the other
They don't have to have
51%
it.
shouldn't be bossed around for it and have to pay for
Yeah.
it. You look at all those European countries, they're so small, so population dense, and they're not diverse. Meaning everybody is the same race most often, and often has the same exact ideas. And that's where you come down to the states, and this is why I find this as a compromise, as if people from California or Vermont, take Vermont for example, they want healthcare for all, they can do it. As long as they don't let Texas pay for it. You know what I'm saying? So that's where states' rights become more viable. Would I argue for that kind of stuff personally? No. But that's where you get the better...
I propose this. Is there anything that's stopping interstate cooperation for these types of things?
Yes.
What do you mean?
Borders.
No.
No. Are you
No, I'm
saying like
serious.
what's stopping like California from going Medicare for all?
No. As in, like,
He wants there to be a coalition of states doing this.
So like New England has a healthcare plan?
And that it shares with... Yeah, New England as in the region, yeah.
Is that what you're talking about, Jeremy?
yes, if
Because
states came to a consensus.
because Rhode Islanders aren't like Vermonters, Massachusettsers aren't Massachusettsians.
Well,
Are not-
this is assuming that they agree to it.
Yeah, but they
Well,
don't.
if they agree to it, then that's fine, but they don't.
Well, I mean,
Look, you
it's
can't
because-
even get
it's
one
thought of.
state to 100% agree on something. So to get multiple states, then you have interest. Then you're forming a new government over these
It's
two
too-
states. That's like a branch. I think that just becomes more complicated, and you're better off leaving it to the states because I would argue that you have to get even more individual, and that's
Well, I
where
mean,
I become
It,
individualist.
it's a buffer accounting for geographical distances.
But it's an unnecessary buffer.
If Alabama and Mississippi came together and had a foolproof
Foolproof
plan to have health care for the two of them, and they worked it out, and it worked, and everyone wanted it, so be it. I'm just saying the likelihood of it happening is
So
slim
that's just
to
the
none.
route. That's just the long route then, because
Right.
imagine two states cooperating with each other, and then somebody's like, then another state's just like, I want a piece
Right.
of that, and then they all.
But
start
that's
doing-
assuming that it works.
Right. That's
well, that's
true.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So, like, in a sense, we just went the long route.
But you're assuming that it works.
Well,
When it
that's
doesn't.
Right, and that goes back to the point of Romney Care versus Obamacare. It's the same thing. Romney Care worked, Obamacare didn't. So it's the
so
same thing.
in a- it's
Medicare
in a
for
s-
all worked in Vermont, didn't in California. What I'm saying is some things work in certain areas, and
well, no, what I'm saying
oftentimes
is, like,
if you grow it might not work. So then it fails. So then if Arkansas joins Mississippi and Alabama and it fucks them over, then they're mad at Arkansas. You see what I'm saying here?
and okay, so then maybe, so maybe the argument shouldn't be Medicare for all, yes or no. It should be, if we're gonna do this, should it be from the ground up or the top down?
But
It
why
should be
do they
not
need
at
it
all.
at all? Yeah.
If they
Why
want
do you need
that's that's another thing. If they want
Medicare for all is federal.
if they want, I'm saying Medicare just in general is in healthcare for everybody
Yeah, that would be a federal program.
Yes.
in the
That
state.
no.
Well, yeah, you
Yeah,
can have a
okay, and-
state referendum.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
And
But keep it out
I'm
of
not
federal
sure if
hands.
that's what Vermont did or not. I don't quote me, but I mean, Massachusetts has questions all the time. People answer, legalizing weed. Perfect
Yeah.
example. If it came to the consensus where a state, said, here we go, we're gonna make a decision. Here we go. Again, does that should you be able to opt out of it? Definitely. But if a state wants to do that, sure.
They can. Yeah.
Go do that.
But
You got to get people to want to do
even
that.
even California didn't pass a Medicare for All bill because it would have doubled the debt of the state on passage.
Yeah.
So,
Also, it would have raised the taxes of the
Right,
citizens
so-
in like triple fold.
right. So we can break it down as far as implementing it, and we can break it down as far as saying it's a shitty program. Like, we can debate the ethics of Medicare for All, or we can debate the idea of
The
implementing
practical,
Right.
yeah, the practicality rather of Medicare for all. Why do rich people need it? They don't. Why do you want to give it to them? Rich people are the enemy of the liberal. Why are you giving them? But you hate them for it.
Actually,
I don't.
Well, okay,
I-
you don't, but your ideology does.
well, that's corruption at the top, but
What do you again? And this goes again because I've never had a larger mass of money. Why do you need so much money? What is the
It's
point?
not that you need it; it's that you've
What do you-
it's
obtained
that
it
you've
because
obtained
of
it
what
and
you've
earned
done.
it.
What do
Yeah,
you
you
do with
earned
that
it.
much money? What do you do?
You do
with
whatever the hell you want.
Whatever the fuck you
Philanthropy.
want.
You just give it back.
No, why?
Why would you do that?
Philanthropy, like what?
You don't.
Jerry
you don't,
Jones
you haven't
bought a
earned
yacht. He's a billionaire.
It. You haven't earned it, Jeremy.
What do you do with a yacht?
You have fun.
You
You
vacation?
fucking vibe.
Dude,
The only way
wanna
I
buy a
would ever
$400,000 I
return.
would buy a $400,000 boat. And I joked when I was younger. I said, "Mom, I told my parents, I said, I'm gonna live with you, and instead of buying a $400,000 house, I'm gonna buy a $400,000 boat, right? Because I wanted that boat because I thought I think it would be fun. Now, am I still gonna buy a $400,000 boat? No. Do I want to buy a $100,000 boat? Yeah, actually, I do. I would love to buy a 28-foot center console with twin engines. That would
sounds
be
awesome.
a dream for me. That would be a dream for me. Now, if it was
People
any longer,
want-
yes, but that would even be better. But the thing is I work for something, and
Yeah.
I wake up every day and I go to work because I want that thing. What you can do with a lot of that money, it just opens doors. It opens
Yeah.
doors for Jerry Jones, owner of the Dallas Cowboys. You own the biggest sports franchise in the world.
Just think about this.
Trump
The
Tower.
same thing. Like
Trump. Real
He
estate.
just-
macaroni and
he just
cheese
slapped his
guy
name.
owns the fucking Patriots.
Right. Yes. Okay.
This is the reason that the only reason I would ever take money away from the rich to give it to the poor is to fund safety nets, and that's it. And also to destroy monopolies. But if I needed to do that, I would just destroy the monopoly and I'll take the money away. Their money is earned. There's enough money to earn for the poor and the middle class.
Right,
It's
and then
there.
that's where I would say, and now we're getting to my philosophical, beliefs here, but that's where I would say then implement a flat tax. Everyone's paying their fair share, and go from there. And as far as roads, but what the idea is that you earned it.
Yeah.
Take Steph Curry.
Jeff Bezos is a real person.
Right. And now we might not think that people, we think, oh, I could do Jeff Bezos' job. Hell no, you could not. The best example of this is athletes, because that really shows the divide for people. If you were as good as Steph Curry at basketball, shooting threes, right? You'd be playing basketball and getting paid what Steph Curry is. But you're not as good as Steph Curry, so you don't get paid what Steph Curry gets paid. So, and that goes across all sports. If I was able to kick a football, right, 60-yard field goal, nail a 60-yard field goal consistently, I'd get paid for that.
Are they not consolidating power?
Not enough to mess with the government.
Wait,
Not like
I'm sorry.
that.
Rephrase
what is
that question
lobbying?
again.
What is lobbying?
Lobbyists are different. I'm talking like
Lobbyists are people who want the government to do their dirty work. They want
Yeah.
regulation. which is bad on the forefront if government does it alone, and it's bad if the government or if lobbyists or regular companies use the government to take out their competition. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
If the government is doing favors for people, right, or taking or listening to lobbyists, they're doing the lobbyists' work for them. That's bad. We shouldn't do that.
Right.
So how you would stop that or regulate it or get it out of politics is you would stop doing it altogether. You'd stop regulating. You'd stop doing all the things they want. Because the more you keep regulating, the more the lobbyists are going to come knocking on the door. Because you're doing what they want.
Yeah. Government corruption is eternal if you have a big government.
When
There's less to
when
corrupt
government
if it's
grows,
small.
corruption grows. If
Yeah.
the government is small, corruption is small, corruption is minimal, and corruption is containable.
There should be a morality test for government jobs.
No, that's just based on the
well, that
elections.
becomes well, no, because then you have bureaucrats that
Oh, yeah.
hold, and that's where your real corruption develops, is people that are not accountable to the public. You know, yes, Nancy Pelosi is accountable. Yes, she can get away with a lot of stuff. Yes, but these career politicians, and this is why, John, and I watched this, and I sent this to you
I'm
yesterday.
gonna look to the Nancy Pelosi stuff because
It's the
Dude,
link.
please.
It's the link. Watch it's a Joe Rogan Experience clip. It's called "When Edward Snowden Realized Government Spying Had Gone Too Far." Watch the clip. It's I think it's like 41 minutes. Definitely a good watch. Watch it all the way through. And I'll tell any of our listeners to watch that through. But we are at the 2-hour mark for
Yeah,
our
that's a long
episode.
one.
I've got things to do. I was about to wrap.
Yeah, we were too. We were too.
Yes. So I won't get into our final statements. I think I don't think we need to, unless you want one. If you want one, chime in. This is your floor.
I'm not opposed to the idea of states own controlling health insurance and whatnot. I'm more focused on the goal rather how we go about getting there.
Well,
and
you have
if
to.
if it's
Right.
Go ahead.
I know you have to, but it's
Well, no,
why is it so complicated then? Because of it should just be simple, since we all want the same thing.
we
going
don't
about
all want the same thing. That's
Well,
what
I
we've
mean,
been saying this whole time.
We don't all need the same thing.
Yeah.
We all want healthcare. Well, most of
We just
I'd say
don't all-
99% want healthcare. But the problem is
Sounds-
those 99% differ on where we want to get it, how we want to pay for it, what we need coverage for, how we're going to get coverage, what company we're going to go to, and that's where the disparity comes.
don't pay for it if you don't want it.
Right,
Yeah,
so you shouldn't be forced
That's how it
to.
should be.
So if you have the
Oh.
government controlling it, they're going to force people to pay for it. Why? Through taxes. It's just i.e. even if you don't want it, you're paying for it. That's the whole abortion clinic argument, and how the Hyde Amendment and why that's so important in the debate, because people don't want to pay for it. The Hyde Amendment ensures that people can get it, and the people that don't want to pay for it don't pay for it, and that's why you don't want the government controlling it, because that implies that some people are getting screwed over and some people aren't. Because when they favor one side over the other, some people are getting screwed over and some people aren't. And that's not government working for the people
Optional taxes.
equally.
Yeah.
Optional taxes. Anybody?
Wait, no.
Ooh,
I thought
count
you said
me.
hospital toxic.
Optional
okay,
taxes.
You and Jack might get together on that, but I won't.
Ooh, tell me I'll pay zero. Tell me I won't pay zero.
No, you have to pay something.
Well, that's not
1%.
optional taxes. Well, okay, no, because this is funny. I saw this is relevant. I saw a Tucker Carlson clip. He was talking to some woman about how the rich need to pay fair taxes, right? And she was like, and she was a wealthy professor, and he was like, if you just want to pay more, you can put money in an envelope and write Washington D.C. on it and send it right in the mail. And it was just kind of funny because it was like no one would do that, but
Yeah.
But it was just kind of ironic. It was just funny the way he put it. And I mean, if people want to pay more, anyone out there, Washington D.C., shove it right in an envelope and send it. The government will take your money
Yeah.
any day of the week. All right.
Anyway.
Yes, this is
Yeah,
that's-
the end.
That's episode.
This has been the Two Sides of Politics, ladies and gentlemen. This is my new favorite episode. Every time we do a new episode, it's my
This is
favorite.
a shit show.
It only gets better.
No.
No,
We are-
it only gets better.
no.
This episode was a shit show. We're all over the place.
What?
No, it was just one for you. All right, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you for watching.
It was.
See you Thursday.
There was a
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you for being here.